Live radio. Atlanta's music leader.
Help me, find my way through this darkness. Welcome and thank you for joining us here at the Rodney Appleby Experience, where together we can explore the mysteries of music. Without your presence, this will be impossible. I appreciate you tuning in to be part of our program.
Welcome to the Rodney Appleby Experience, broadcasting live every Tuesday night, 7 to 8 p.m. with the one, the only Rodney Appleby. And now, Mr. Rodney Appleby.
Welcome to the Rodney Appleby Experience. 1 second here. Let me turn down this secondary unit. Okay. All right.
.106liveradio.com. Call us now at 404-464-8785.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Rodney Appleby Experience, where we see music, see life through the mysteries and the magic of music. And tonight, I want to talk a little bit about music production and a transition that I lived through, and talk about where things are now. And I'd like to have you guys call in some of the folks that lived through the transition of music from analog to digital. Some of the things that went along with that transition, and how it went, how it looked, and how we all transitioned over to having our own little home studios and being able to produce music in our own time and in our own place. So tonight is going to be an interesting discussion. And I also would like to kind of go for a little ride through some digital music production and talk about a couple of programs. They call them digital audio workstations, or DAWs, DAWs, and just kind of how they work and how they changed the music industry, or how they changed the recording industry in particular. And then to talk maybe a little bit about how some of the different aspects of distribution and things might actually turn out for us. So just curious a little bit tonight, and just want to share a few little things, because I thought it was interesting when I noticed how things were changing from the audio world to the digital world, and now looking at how things are done presents a lot of interesting opportunities, a lot of interesting challenges, and a lot of interesting, I'm going to say, questions. And so, because it's all new to me and to a lot of folks, I just have a few questions I'd like to ask. So if there's folks out there that's well versed in the digital music production world, please feel free to call in, share your knowledge and your experience with us. And also, if those of you who are not so familiar with it, call in and maybe get caught up to speed and see how things work, and see what you might have available to you. I know that nowadays, if you have a cell phone, it's almost like you have an entire studio or film production company in your hands. So things have changed a lot. And so I want to have a little discussion about that. And I want to talk a little bit about music production in the digital age. So you guys grab your instruments as always. I love it when you guys have your instruments right in front of you and can follow along. And let's see what we can scare up this week in terms of getting a little more comfortable and familiar with digital music production. So we're going to take a brief station break. And when you guys come back, we're going to be able to step into my program here, Logic, and let's talk a little bit about how it works. So, see you guys in a second.
Greetings. This is Rodney Appleby, host of the Rodney Appleby Experience. To bring you quality programming, interesting guests, and entertaining performances, your support is very important. Donations, large and small, are always welcome. Sponsors are an important part of our ability to provide you the kind of experience you deserve. Please go to 106liveradio.com/Rodney. There, you'll find a link to support the Rodney Appleby Experience. While tuned in on YouTube, please hit the like button and subscribe for alerts and updates. And you can download the 106 Live Radio app to receive notices of upcoming podcasts. And once again, thank you for your support.
106liveradio.com. Call us now at 404-464-8785. Download the 106 Live Radio app from your Google Play Store. Or find us on the TuneIn app.
From the mind of Rodney Appleby.
Through demonstrations and concepts, you're invited inside my mind to experience rhythms and grooves that I believe will soothe your soul. Call us on air here at 404-464-8785.
From the mind of Rodney Appleby. Broadcasting live from Atlanta every Tuesday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Meet us right here on 106 R&B and Throwbacks, powered by 106liveradio.com. And now, here is your host, Mr. Rodney Appleby.
All right. So welcome back, everybody. So let's just jump right in because it's a lot of information to cover, and I just want to cover a few basics and maybe talk a little bit about music moving from from analog recording to digital recording. And I want to begin by talking about my experience back in the 90s when I began watching it happen. It was somewhere between 90 and 95 when things really started to transition from going to major studios to being able to go to a small place somewhere with a computer and actually record music that had the sound quality of the big studio. The big studios had a monopoly on who actually could record because the costs could be prohibitive for some people. And I remember lots of times being in the studios, whether on the East Coast or the West Coast, and it really is every moment that you're in that studio, every second is costing you. And so to be productive was quite important because the time cost a lot of money. And the thing about it was that you were kind of at the mercy of the engineers, the quality of the equipment, and the amount of time that you could afford to pay for to give them time to get everything together. So it was all kind of it kind of had the artist handcuffed a little bit with cost prohibition and some of the other things that go along with that. Well, as things began to shift over, and it didn't just shift over from, 1 minute we have big studios with all the best gear to now we have, somebody sitting in a basement somewhere in a little office with, gear that sounds just as good. It didn't just transition that quickly. It went through the process of going through cassette tapes, discs of different kind, a bunch of different transitions, 4 tracks, 8 tracks, then multi-tracking on hard drives. And that's when the transition really started to take hold, because the ability to be creative when one is on one's own time really is a lot more valuable than having to rush through and possibly miss something or not really be in that creative place and just having to really be productive. So lots of work was done before you ever made it to the studio. Nowadays, people can actually create while sitting in the studio, and they actually have the ability to capture things kind of unlimited. It depends on your computing power and all that kind of stuff, but you can pretty much do things in somewhat of an unlimited way. And the other big change was the language. I remember the language in recording studios revolving around things like master tapes, 2-inch tape, splicing, as opposed to editing. So the language changed because the medium and the tools began to change. And so when it went from magnetic tape or analog sound capturing to digital sound capturing, where it was just some code on a computer somewhere and there was no tape, that was one of the first big changes for artists, because masters and things like that actually had they were the thing of value. It was the real thing. People would fight for their masters. I want my masters. It was always about the masters. And that was usually a 2-inch reel of tape or several 2-inch reels of tape, depending on how much material had been recorded and edited. And so when you remove tape from the equation, then where is this music all of a sudden? Well, now it's these little discs, these little travel drives, G drives for Apple computers, and these things can fail, just like tape can get destroyed. So it's not as if the material now, all the intellectual property is so protected. It's just under different circumstances. So now people look at the time stamps so that they can know when their creative material came into production and stuff, which was a little difficult to do before because, of course, you had to actually handwrite everything down. Well, now that things are digital, there's a time stamp with everything. So it's a nice way to keep records. One of the really cool things about digital, though, was the fact that as they improved and they began to insert into a lot of the DAWs, the digital audio workstations, they began to insert what's called plugins. And these plugins are actual bits of software and code that mimic some of the amplifiers, some of the processors, the microphones, the speakers that were used in a lot of the big production houses. And now they're captured into these packages of software called plugins, so that you can call up whatever mic you would like, you can call up whatever amplifier you would like, and you can then use that as your modeling or your your starting point. So it's given a lot of tools to players to be able to do certain things that would have been really kind of impossible, because you can't have that many amps around. You got to have some place to store them and to plug them all in at once so that you can just plug in from one to the other. That's just a lot. So having them digitally like that was a big game changer for a lot of people. Another thing that actually made a big difference relative to the digital stuff was, as a lot of music became sampled, meaning little pieces of it would be taken and used as a portion of someone else's creative material. And yes, there were issues about that. And, you know, for example, little thing, I don't know if you guys remember all the little stuff going on between MC Hammer and Rick James over Can't Touch This and Super Freak and all that kind of stuff. So there's intellectual property issues about sampling, which got resolved by way of artists would actually license their samples to the different production houses. Those production houses now have used those licensed samples in a library that one can use, so that even if you don't actually play the instrument, you have a professional musician's sample playing the instrument for you. So with the advent of digital music production, it's even created a circumstance under which you don't actually have to know how to play the actual instrument in order to actually make the music. And so with all these different things that now have popped up, being able to make music have become in the domain of anyone actually. You don't have to be some, highly trained artist. You don't have to be some genius somewhere. All you have to do is sit back, have fun, have access to some digital audio workstation, and take your time and play around with things. And when we come back during our next segment, I'm going to mess around and go through a few things and show you how some of those things sound and what some of those things, how they work, and how you can kind of put pieces together almost like a puzzle. And I'm not going to actually play an instrument right away. I'm just going to put some pieces together and see if it begins to sound like something that I could use creatively. And so, but the whole idea of music production moving from analog to digital really did change the industry a lot. And when you add to that the internet, where, the idea of distribution becomes within reach of each individual artist by way of social media and the different platforms, it really did create a whole new opening within the music industry. And again, I talk about the music industry in more of a specific way than just where music happens to be at work, but that certainly it covers a lot of ground. But the music industry, where music itself is actually being sold, where it's the music, not a performer on stage playing it, or, but literally just the music itself being sold, being used in movies, being played over the radio, being purchased online. That kind of put that kind of access to a buying public within reach of an individual artist's hand. So just like with just like with the recording houses, the big production houses, the big studios, just like with those studios, the distribution of the material that the big studios would produce, a lot of that material now can be produced by the artist, and it can be marketed by the artist directly to the audience by way of social media. So those are two huge game changers. And when you add to that the tools allow for someone who may not necessarily be a really good player or even a player at all, when you add that to it, it really did open up the playing field where people can engage in creative music production without having to have the usual body of experience that would have been necessary at other times. So when we come back, you guys feel free to call in at 404-464-8785 and share some of your experiences with recording now as digital recordings and recordings as it were back when things were analog. So here at the Rodney Appleby Experience, we're going to take a little ride through a program called Logic, and we're going to have a little fun with that. So you guys come on back. We're going to take a little station break, and hopefully when we come back, I can have this thing fired up and making some sounds for you. So let me see if I can get into this program here.
106liveradio.com, where excitement meets diversity 24/7. Today's R&B and throwbacks. Broadcasting live from Atlanta while serving the entire globe. It's the fastest growing radio on the web. It's 106liveradio.com.
Hey, it's your girl Stephanie J, and I'm going to show you this year how to take your life to the next level during my live coaching sessions. Join me every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and get a taste of coaching with a flair. Real life coaching with the authentic you in mind. It's time for you to step it up. I will see you in the room. Live coaching with Stephanie J on 106 Live Radio, where excitement meets diversity 24/7.
We've all felt left out. And for people who move to this country, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Ow!
Did you know over 2,000 eye injuries occur on the job site every day, and about 1 in 10 of them require missed work days to recover? Of the total amount of work-related eye injuries, 10 to 20% will cause temporary or permanent vision loss in affected employees. And while many people think that eye injuries primarily occur in manufacturing, construction, or trade jobs, nearly 40% of work-related eye injuries occur in offices, healthcare facilities, laboratories, and similar environments. Flying objects, tools, particles, chemicals, and harmful radiation are the causes of most eye injuries, and in many cases, implementing safe work practices and utilizing appropriate personal protective equipment could prevent them entirely. We here at GTG Traffic Signals believes something as simple as putting on a pair of safety glasses can prevent serious eye injuries. These injuries are painful, cause many lost work days, and sometimes lead to permanent vision loss. This message is sponsored by GTG Traffic Signals, located in Marietta, Georgia. Reminding you today and year-round, remember to wear your safety glasses. Our 106 Live radio platform is fully equipped with the best and latest in broadcasting technology to ensure that what our listeners hear is always HD quality. Hashtag Team 106 is dedicated to bringing diverse programs and professional on-air personalities. We are your hidden gem.
106liveradio.com, Atlanta.
Help me find a way through this darkness to the light of day. So much distraction, all around. Got me standing there, shaking like.
Your interpretation, see it your way. Do what you feel, hear what you say. So when the score is final, it was yours to choose. And so it doesn't matter, you win, draw, you lose. Or if you're big enough, you're bad enough, you're strong enough, you're fast enough, you know enough, you know too much, you're really tough. When things get rough, help me find a way through this darkness to the light of day. So much distraction all around. It's got me standing on shaky ground. Yeah.
All right, welcome back, guys. All right, so let's take a look at this digital audio workstation. It's on a little Apple computer. I got things kind of buried and hidden, so it all takes up a little bit of space. I don't want to dismantle things and pull it up and show you everything. I just want to get into some sounds and show you how these things work and how they kind of changed how music production even takes place these days. So first thing I have here is I have a keyboard like a trigger. It doesn't make sound by itself. It simply activates sounds within the program, within the DAW, the digital audio workstation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just take and ask for a software instrument track. So now, all of a sudden, it just tells me an electric piano is up there. So let's see if we have an electric piano. And there it is, just like that. So all of a sudden, I have an electric piano sound. Now, of course, I can change that sound to anything that I want because, as I was saying, they have so many plugins and so many sounds that's available. It's almost unlimited. So let me see. I'm just going to go to a regular. Maybe I just want a regular. Let's see, modern classic. Okay, yeah. So that's kind of pretty. All right. Now, I just very quickly, just pulled up an actual track that now I can record all keyboard part. Well, that one keyboard part on. I can keep calling up tracks for different instruments. I also have a track up where I can play bass. So I have the different tracks up that allow me so that's an actual audio instrument where I'm actually playing it. So let me get back to the actual workstation. And I want you to check this out. I don't have a drum set in front of me. And I'm working in a space that may, in fact, be too small to bring drums in. And yet, I have access through the workstation to a number of ways to access drums. I could access them through the trigger mechanism, through the synthesizer or the keyboard, and just play them through a drum channel here. Or I can actually go to the library and I can actually begin to examine, for example, here's a 1960s, they're calling it a 60s shuffle drum set. So we're just going to take a listen to that and what it sounds like. Okay, so as you can hear, as much as a digital representation can, it pretty much sounds like someone playing the drums. It's actually a recording of someone playing that particular beat and then sampled and made into what they call a loop. Now, when I'm listening to that beat, it made me think back to some old Motown tunes. Like, let me see. I'm going to play this beat again. Like, baby, baby, where have my love gone? Stuff like that. So you can see they kind of tried to capture the vibe of familiar sounding styles of music. Because, of course, there's so many things that could happen. So they tried to do a good job on capturing what would be familiar. I'm going to move now all the way a decade now, and this is 70s ballad drums. These are simply plugins or loops, pre-recorded drum type things that are in the program that I can use if I want to. And there's quite a few selections. Okay. So that was called the 70s ballad drums. So I'm going to take a listen to a few more 70s things. Now, if someone is so inspired, feel free to call in 404-464-8785. And let's have a little talk about this digital music production thing. I'm just playing around today, going through a few little things and looking at what's available in the actual program themselves. And I'm just starting with drums because as a bass player, I usually like to have a nice groove in order to work with. So just starting with an idea. Now, funny enough, that's called 70s street drums. And they have quite a few of examples like that. I'm just going to kind of go halfway down and click on another one. So you can hear they're very similar with different types of characteristics. Go down a little further. That one has a crash added to it. Now, and they have, for some of these beat groupings, they actually have different fills and things. So again, you're going to be able to play around So being able to play around with those and put puzzle pieces together and as you can hear, it just repeats and repeats and repeats because it's simply that little tiny part made into a loop so you can kind of extract it out and place it where you would like to place it within your music construction. So I'm going to play around with a couple of 70 beats. And in some of the previous podcasts, I've talked about things like the scales, and I've talked about chord changes, and I've talked about scale positions and things like that. And so I'm just going to use this moment to put some of those things together and kind of give you an idea what it is I'm actually doing and what I'm using. And not necessarily why I made the choices, because the choices that I'm going to make whenever I'm doing these podcasts are going to be because they're simple and they're easy enough to demonstrate, and they don't go too far. Because again, music, it's such an open field. And so in order to make things kind of simple and clear, I think that has more value in settings like this. So I'm going to, now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this street drum beat, and I'm just going to pull it up out of here and bring it over into the actual session itself. Now, what I've just done, I've just added drums to my project. Now, because that's all there is of it, I can now take that and I can just pull it out and repeat it as long as I want to. So I'm just going to repeat that up to like 7 bars. Now that fill that we were listening to, that fill, I'm going to take that now and I'm going to bring that up here. All right. Now, let's see what happens. Are we at the time where we have to take a little break? So when we come back, I'm going to have a little something set up so you can listen to it. So we're going to take a short pause. You guys come on back. Feel free to call in 404-464-8785. Talk to you in a bit.
Help me, help me, help me, help.
Welcome to the Rodney Appleby Experience, where we see life through the flavors and sounds of music. Make it your purpose to tune in and join us as we set out to explore the mysteries and magic of music from the mind of Rodney Appleby. Demonstrations, concepts, rhythms, and grooves that will soothe your soul. While you're here, call in and be a part of our Let's Talk About It segment as we sit and talk with professionals and beginners alike. And now, here's your host, Mr. Rodney Appleby.
Greetings. This is Rodney Appleby, host of the Rodney Appleby Experience. To bring you quality programming, interesting guests, and entertaining performances, your support is very important. Donations, large and small, are always welcome. Sponsors are an important part of our ability to provide you the kind of experience you deserve. Please go to 106liveradio.com/Rodney. There, you'll find a link to support the Rodney Appleby Experience. While tuned in on YouTube, please hit the like button and subscribe for alerts and updates. And you can download the 106 Live Radio app to receive notices of upcoming podcasts. And once again, thank you for your support.
While you're here, call in and be a part of our Let's Talk About It segment as we sit and talk with professionals and beginners alike. And now, here's your host, Mr. Rodney Appleby.
Oh, welcome back, everybody. All right, so here I am. I've been playing around a little bit with this drum beat, and I want to let you hear just how quickly I was able to just drag a piece here, drag another piece over there, and this is what it sounds like right now. A little crazy beginning, then the beat. And then back to the beat. So just little puzzle piecing. So that's how digital music production has really changed things. Now, I'm going to be able to actually add some things to that and just kind of make some impromptu chord changes. So here we have, for example, if I'm playing. Oh boy. Okay, there we go. Let's get back up here in the piano. Okay, so just using the piano and listening to the beat. Now, back a ways on one of the podcasts, I was talking about chord changes, musical choices, and how one might come to some of those conclusions. And so I talked a little bit about the numbers, and I talked about the 7 modes and how those 7 modes can be played in a different order, different arrangements, and you don't have to use all 7 of them. And you can kind of do what you want to do with them. And so lots of times I'm working in the key of C, and if I just go up the key of C, that's all the 7 modes of C. Literally that simple. And so if I start here at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the octave, 8. So if that's all that there is, if that's how it works, then I can now play around with those in any arrangement that I want. So what if I started off with 1 and went to 4, and then 2, and then went to 5, and then 3, and then went to 6, and then 4, and then 7, and we're back to 1. So I just took the numbers, and instead of going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, instead of going right in sequence, I went 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 6, 7, and now I'm back to 1. Okay? So, how would that sound if I played it with my drum beat? Okay. And I have to do one little thing here. Move this over one beat because my drum fill came in one beat too soon, or 4 measures too soon. And now, here we go. I just did a quick edit to make the measures count out the way I need them to count out. So here we go again. This time I'm simply going to record it. I'm going to record. Hold up. All right. Let's go back up here. Now, we're going to record. Okay, and that's all we need. We can cut this back to there. Good. Now, let's take a quick listen to what we just did. I hear mistakes already. So now, I'm going to add a little bit of bass to that now. And then that'll represent drums, keyboard, and bass. A simple trio. Are we out of time? Oh, we're going to take a short break. We'll be back.
Broadcasting live from Atlanta while serving the entire globe. It's the fastest growing radio on the web. It's 106liveradios.com.
Don E. Miller, licensed professional counselor. He has the formula for wholeness: encourage, empower, educate, enrich. It's called the E effect, and it will change your life. The E effect will empower the individual to help them live a productive life. These programs, which also enrich those in need by providing education and information, which promotes a high quality of life. For more information, call Don E. Miller at 678-741-5337 or visit the website at www.theeffect.net.
Calling all authors. Do you want to promote your book? Get heard, get seen, make more money. Douglasville Books and 106 Live Radio is now offering promotional packages to create a better audience just for you. 770-949-4363. Douglasville Books, the people's choice. You're invited to our summer car wash fundraiser. Look at your ride as you cruise down the streets of Atlanta and you'll see something is missing. A good old-fashioned car wash. Well, look no further. Stop by 106 Live Radio in the Metro Fun Center parking lot for a special car wash event on Saturday, June 17th, 11 to 4 p.m. Our Team 106 will provide exceptional services and a fun experience. This is the place where excitement meets diversity 24/7. 1959 Metropolitan Parkway, Atlanta 30315. All proceeds go to the upgrade of our station equipment. See you there.
The Male Perspective, broadcasting on Wednesdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. There will be guests and tons of great, useful information. Also talking about what's on your mind. Call in 404-464-8785. That's Wednesdays from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on 106liveradio.com, where excitement meets diversity 24/7 with your host, Don Miller, and co-host Willie LeGrand Jr., along with Ron Robinson. New year, new time, same great show. Remember, that's 106liveradio.com, where excitement meets diversity 24/7. We are heard worldwide.
Maximize your brand. Calling all hosts. Have you ever dreamed of hosting your own show? Well, 106 Live Radio platform is looking for positive, creative, self-motivated individuals and groups. Here you can host your own program. If you are serious and interested in joining our growing platform, Team 106 is happy to host you at our state-of-the-art studio. Please reach out to us at 404-622-4152 or send us an email at contactus@106liveradio.com. Bring your best self.
106liveradio.com, Atlanta.
Looking to get away, relax your mind, or take a short trip to your favorite destination? Then book your next trip with Love Travels. With Love Travels, your next trip or vacation will be an enjoyable one. No trip is too large or too small. Love Travels specializes in wine tours, land vacations, and cruises. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, not many people could book a vacation, but at Love Travels, you can now book your next vacation or trip with us. Contact Tilda Love for a consultation and booking information at 404-981-7457 or email at lovetravels590@gmail.com. At Love Travels, we love vacations.
Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and be sure to tell everyone else,
ladies and gentlemen,
about 106liveradio.com.
All right. Okay, so I've been messing around. And like I said, this is what we have so far. Just taking no time, no real effort. Just putting the parts together just to see what's all here working. Now, I got my bass with me. Okay, so now I'm going to record right away. I'm not even going to worry about it. I'm just going to go ahead on and hit the record button, and I'm going to just lay down a bass line. So now I'm just going to go back, listen to it all again. that's how simple it is. And again, going back to some of the things that I was talking about with regard to being able to go into the studio, the cost that it would that you would incur, and even if the studio was available at the time. There's a famous rock song called "Smoke on the Water" that's actually about a bunch of groups heading over to Montreux to record at a new studio. And there was a group that had the place booked, so people were literally in a line waiting for the studio, for one group to clear up so that they could record, because it had the best equipment, it was the newest sound, had great engineers, the same story, all the things that make the artist kind of beholden to kind of a limited situation. Well, here I'm able to actually play and record music. And even though I don't even have all the musicians available, I'm able to use the loops. I'm able to use the different features within the actual DAW itself, the digital audio workstation. I'm actually able to use its features to help compensate for some of the fact that I don't have the equipment, I don't have the physical people there to do the work. If you noticed, I was able to hit the button and turn and play the bass, and when it was over, just turn and stop the recording. So I'm acting as engineer, I'm acting as performer, and I'm also kind of putting together the music. So I'm the writer. So what it has done, it has given a lot of a huge opportunity to artists to be able to get out their creative material and get it out in a way that's going to actually make a big, big, big difference. And the beautiful thing about that for me, the huge benefit to that is that people who oftentimes are nervous in front of others and worried about, if people are going to like it, they can do a lot of things in the privacy of their own home, in the safety of their own environment, and they can feel free to express themselves as they see fit. Now, I will say this. Once you bring your creative material out into the public domain, it is important to protect it by way of copyrights. And it's also important to have what I'm going to call a bit of a thick skin, because clearly, if you can think for yourself in terms of your own tastes in music, you know that you don't like every song everyone has ever written. And there are some good songs that you might not like. And there are some songs not so good that you might like. It's just a matter of taste and preference. I don't think creativity has a good, bad, right, or wrong thing to it. I think it's just a matter of taste, a matter of preference. So once you bring it out, you'll find that there will be some who may appreciate it, and there will be some who don't. And that's what that's what marketing really boils down to: finding the audience that actually appreciates the work that you do. And so just what I did here, I wouldn't even call this creative. I wouldn't even really call that creative. I would call that mostly just using the parts of the scale as a puzzle. And being able to just play them in that kind of a pattern, it doesn't take a lot of thought or creativity. Usually when things get creative, you can hear them getting much more complex than that. Like I said, I like to keep things simple so that as we're doing this, you can keep track. So I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in this week. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope to see you guys next week here at the Rodney Appleby Experience. Thank you.